everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We are doing a really cool collab today. We're trying to figure out how to edit it and split it all up. But I'm joined by Hell Hades. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm excited to have a chat about this kind of like dev talk we had yesterday. So yeah,
Yeah.
doing
Well,
really
we've
well.
we've actually had the chat already. We're recording the intro at the end. But yes, guys, part one is over on Hades' channel, where we basically broke down. We got to meet the devs and actually talk with them face to face about how we and they are feeling about the game and some of the things they're going to be changing. Watch part one over on Hades' channel. We're going to split that in half. Part two is coming up right here. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy hearing all the insights.
Yeah, and I'd say as well. I mean, we spoke at some length, just calling out. Look, we thought Doomtail was extremely good as content. We asked if there were any plans there. That didn't really feel like there was much plan to change or enhance or add like another difficulty level. And they didn't say no, I guess, but it didn't seem like it was on their radar at that point.
Yeah, seems like fairly low priority. What did they say about Curse City? I I didn't pick up all the stuff, but I think they were saying with Curse City that like they felt that there was no need for another level of difficulty yet, which I think is fair. I think the number
Yeah,
of people that have actually maxed out Curse City is quite low. Like Soul Cross is rather
it's hard.
difficult.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. But I don't know.
I,
Did they say any plans about that?
well, I think they said that pretty much people are still finding their feet a bit with Curse City, and Scratch brought it up actually. The Scratch plays extremely end game. I'd say like it's quite interesting having different content creators in this chat because everyone's at a different kind of, I guess, level of involvement in the game. Like in terms of like what they enjoy and what they really kind of push for and stuff like that. And Scratch is definitely one of those ones that has played at the highest point in arena, and we'll definitely try and push to kind of clear stuff like this all the time. I cleared this first time round, and I felt like it was an achievement actually. Like I felt like it was really tough and enjoyable, but it was such a grind on terms of like swapping gear around, leveling gear, leveling different champions that I now kind of get Amius dead. I kind of move around doing stuff which I can do quite comfortably, and then decide if I've got time left to do any more.
So for sure. So, sometimes I forget to do all my stages, and I'm like, I get to the end of the month, I'm like, oh I must have missed a bunch of days. I ran out of keys. What happened?
But I guess Scratch called out that when you get to these harder stages in the top of Curse City, it basically becomes a bit of a how many control champions have I got for that team, and if not, how many can I put on a stun set? And I guess they kind of, it felt like they kind of agreed, but I don't know they've really got a solution for that.
They were talking about how it's not running a bunch of stun sets and praying is just, they're saying like unfortunately it's part of the game, but it's not a very good part of the game. I kind of appreciated that. They're like, it's kind of a tricky thing to fix because it's sort of the way we built the game, but that part's not great, and we would like to do something.
I think they called out like the main dev on the call did say, look, we agree that's at that point it's not compelling content,
and it's
but he just didn't really have a solution for it, and that's fair. Like I don't know if I've really got a solution for
I do think
would need to do.
With Curse City, I think Scratch brought it up as well, actually, that I think the area bonuses, and I think now Epic Empowerment as well. I think
True.
They help a ton to make this more accessible. So I kind of feel like even if they don't do any changes for Curse City in the short term, well, at least there is like a bunch more power that people can now get. And we've also seen all the rotations now as well. So you can start to focus in on exactly the champs you do need to build. So I think it could actually become a lot better in the long term with those extra levels of power. So I think that's cool. We'll see with that one.
I think there's some interesting stuff. So I asked about this no, wrong one, about blessings, and I kind of asked, well, where am I going? I asked about this kind of extra locked blessing. So is anything happening there? And interesting, they said you just need to hold on and wait for a little while. So sounds like something's coming fairly soon.
I'm interested. I did a video where I designed the whole blessings for them. I wonder, will mine be better than theirs, or theirs better than mine?
For the new one?
Yeah. I thought it was kind of fun because I did a video with Saf where we
I
actually
saw that one. Yeah, I saw the video with Saf where he kind of broke down
we broke down
how
the
effective
existing one.
the current ones were, and whether you felt like they were
Yeah,
really usable in the game. I
yeah.
actually didn't see your follow-up one.
Yeah, no, it didn't do so well. That was one of the 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10
I
YouTube
never like that. You
videos.
never like it.
It was a smaller one, but I had fun doing it, and yeah, I designed the whole
Yeah,
blessing, and I suggested as well some possible reworks to blessings. So
yeah.
I don't think they did. I don't know if they mentioned anything about that, but it
They
did
just
seem
said
like there's
something
more stuff
is on the
coming.
horizon, and obviously
Yeah,
polymorph came up again.
of course.
You know,
Yes. What did you feel about that? So they basically said that they don't want to completely change polymorph. They want to do some smaller tweaks first and
yeah.
see if that. But it sounded like they want to do more tweaks to it, which I think is good. Um, and then if
It
it does
sounds like
seem like
they're banking on intercept
yeah, maybe,
fixing polymorph. Like that's the way I
yeah,
read it. Yeah, so it's like we got
yeah,
some new guys coming out. They got intercept. Like polymorph's
yeah,
not a
yeah,
problem. So I guess that's a bit of a wait and see. But
yeah,
it didn't feel like there was anything in a bit like what they spoke about with the testing for Hydra Clash and stuff. Like they know that this is a problem, especially when you get to the super end game, like the very
yeah,
top of
yeah.
live arena. Pretty much
It's the
everybody
six-star
takes
blessings
polymorph.
really that make it broken, right?
Yeah,
So doesn't
yeah.
affect everyone, but the longer this goes on, the more and more people it is affecting, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So I guess no real news there, but other than it sounds like something's on its way, and
yeah,
they're acknowledging that there's some stuff.
there's a
Honestly,
problem.
with the frustration to polymorph, I don't know why they didn't just completely hammer
Yeah,
it, like just completely change it up, make it that only I don't know one of your team can be polymorphed at a time or something, or you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
lose your base speed. You only you only get sheep for one turn. Like, there's so many things that they could do to.
Mhm.
It's one of these things where it's like it's doing 4 or 5 things, and it only needs to do like 1 or 2
Yeah,
things.
right. Yeah, it's way over. Yeah, so, I mean, there's hope when they said they could do some. They probably will do some small tweaks to it that they could change some of those things. Like I was sort of from talking to Saf, like I think he actually convinced me that just removing polymorph would be the better call. It's been such
Yeah,
a bad blow to morale in arena that just completely reworking it would be better. But
just make a
that's
whole
not
new
something
blessing.
that they're going to do. They're not
Yeah,
interested at the moment. But
yeah.
maybe long term, if they can't fix polymorph, it sounds like maybe then we might remove it, but it's definitely not. They don't want to do that yet. They again, they're kind of saying like that would be a huge change, and they don't want to do those
Yeah.
levels of huge balance
I
change.
wonder as well, because they're quite analytics driven. I wonder if they
Yeah,
look at it, it's
yeah.
like plenty of people use it. It must be cool. Like,
Yeah. Well, I was updating the blessings. Like literally almost every legendary champion, the recommended 6-star blessing is polymorph for arena.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's so little reason. There's a couple of champs that go different, like Ward of the Fallen on Rotus or something, but like
sure.
there's very few. It's nearly always polymorph, which is yeah, it doesn't mean it's good. It means it's strong. Doesn't mean
Yeah,
it's
it means it's
good.
just not. It's just not right, doesn't it? That's basically
Yeah.
it. Like the whole. I actually like the
Mm.
blessing system generally.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to get. It's
Yeah.
hard to get good blessings everywhere, but I do like
Mhm.
having this extra kind of like level of selection for your champs around. How you're going to use them and
Mhm.
and what sort of blessings you can do.
Actually,
It does
here's a
feel like there
question.
needs to be a few more which are reliable.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to tweak them a bit. And but here's a like, how do you find the last change they did, where they made the stats basically way stronger and universal? Like, yeah, have you find it good, or are you more excited? Like, I think I probably am more excited to get souls and empower my champions now, or awaken. Awaken? That's
Yeah,
what it's called. I think it is more exciting. It's had problems, but I think
I
ah,
personally don't like that it's.
everything.
I don't like. It's not so much it's everything that it's in the same order for everything. So
Oh, I
even if it
see.
was
Yeah,
everything but
yeah.
in a different order, I think that could be better because then
Hmm.
you've still got this decision on the earlier blessings of, well,
Yeah.
have I've got a defense based champion here, I've got someone who I need accuracy on. If you need accuracy, well, you need 5-star blessing, which is
Right.
I
It's a
think for an
lot.
earlier player, they maybe if they swapped 2-star with 5-star in
For
terms of the
some
stat
blessings, yeah.
gain, that would
Mhm.
make more sense for the average player, I think. But so that's the only thing I don't really like about it. But I don't mind that they've got all of the stats there.
Mm.
And there's this thing now where it's like, well, if I get 4-star and I'm getting a big chunk of crit damage, like that feels
Yeah,
quite
right.
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like that they're all in the same order for me. But I guess
Interesting.
that's
I'm
quite a
curious.
minor thing.
I'm curious what the comment section thinks about. Like, have the blessing changes been? It's a lot of power creep, right? It's a lot of stat bloat. Do you
Yeah,
actually enjoy it? I actually think weirdly, I probably do. Um, like when they were chatting about Hydra, they were kind of like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but my clan, the damage that people are putting up in Hydra, overall, like obviously a lot of them are building trended teams, but
yeah,
even just in general, the damage everyone's doing in Hydra is going up massively recently, massively.
yeah. Well, if
Um,
you think about just the stat bloat generally,
yeah.
so you've
Mm,
got mythicals, you've got things like the empowerments, you've got epic empowerments now.
yeah.
Souls are more accessible than they've ever been. It's still not easy, but if you get a good
Mhm.
champion, then they're going to do some sort of soul event as well. And yeah, I mean, all of those things when you start wrapping them up, it's a ton of extra stats.
Yeah.
I'm building teams now for Clan Boss, and if I'm trying to show a team that the average player can use, it's like I'm basically having to strip half the gear off my champions to just say,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
make
yeah.
it the same as you guys. Like, it's so
Yeah.
hard to do.
Yeah,
Um,
right, right.
yeah,
I mean, I used to do Hydra showcases on like hard to give a general sense to them. Now I'm like, guess I'll just do it on Nightmare, and then people can
yeah,
imagine taking the gear off and running it on brutal, hard, or normal.
yeah,
Uh, not everyone does. I get some comments being like the gear's too much, obviously, but um, yeah, like it's been a huge. I think it's quite fun though. Like they were saying, I think for Hydra that they're quite happy actually seeing people doing way more damage on Hydra
yeah,
and being
yeah. I
pushed
mean, I
further.
think they're getting way more engagement on Hydra than they used to.
Yeah,
That's because
yeah,
that was
I
one of
think
their
so.
big kind of like content drops, and it probably,
Hmm.
well, it did. It dropped poorly,
Yeah,
and people found it too hard.
yeah.
And I think over time they've made it more accessible with teams, and they've
Hmm.
tweaked some mechanics and stuff, which I think have made the game mode way more fun.
Yeah, I'm curious. What did you think about? Because there's something I asked them, and they weren't too keen on it, really. But I was asking about like putting in more powerful epic champions or more variety of epics with things that cover not only Hydra but other bosses as well. Because
Mm,
this is something I've sort of noticed from just seeing reactions from my community to different champions and stuff. Like for instance, with Wixwell, I recommended. I said he's an amazing Hydra champion.
yeah,
It's well worth going for if you like Hydra. And I got like one comment which was saying Hydra is too hard, so I don't like it, and I'm not going for him. And I'm just thinking about that, going, well, if you got him, he's
it
so
wouldn't be
good
so
for
hard.
Hydra.
Yeah,
He makes it easier, and you get
yeah,
into it. But I think I think it's generally, I noticed this with Wixwell, Aestrid, with Nekmothar back in the day. All of those champions had, I think, sort of disproportionately negative reactions because they're support
they're
champs
like
for
Hydra
Hydra.
focused. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I think
it's
there's a
interesting. Like
problem
again,
there.
like this free to play challenge we did.
Mm, mm.
Hydra's something which you don't really get into, I think, for quite a
Early.
while, because
Yeah,
you can get in there and within 2 months, I think
yeah,
I was beating the minimum damage, and
mhm,
then towards the end of it, we did like a 3 month challenge this time. At
yeah.
3 months, I was like top tier normal, but then the jump from normal to hard's quite big in terms of is it worth me doing it?
Yeah, I don't think
And
anyone did hard. I don't think
I
so. It was
don't
all
think so,
normal.
no.
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple just because they were kind of like
Mhm.
flexing on these crazy teams, but
Yeah,
but
I
yeah, so
remember.
so
Yeah.
it's something which is a bit further down in the game,
Mm,
and I think it's probably at least 6 months on that you really start to have
yeah.
the different mechanics that fit together, because it's a bit of a puzzle Hydra. You feel like you've got these
Yeah.
great champions, and then you're like, why did that one do 20 million, but then my other team did 300 million, and it's you
Well,
know
that's tying into what I think they should do is bring in more good epics for it to make it more accessible for early players. Because I remember I did a collab
yeah.
with Big Papa Drock on this, right? And he's trying to build his Hydra team, and we were looking at, there's a couple of guys, I think Cole Red and forget was it Cropsio maybe, who was
Oh
ahead
yeah, yeah,
maybe.
yeah. He was doing really well.
Probably
Yeah,
those two guys had crazy teams, and we're looking at them, and it's like, why can we get anywhere close to their damage? Like they were millions at, like other people were at like 6 million in Hydra, they were at like 20, 30 million. They had
did
Ugo.
they both have Ugo? Yeah, yeah. I thought
I
they
think
did.
they
Yeah,
had Ugo. I think actually Colred, I think, had Archer.
that's
They
right.
actually
Yeah,
had
you
the
got
Archer
Archer. Yeah,
one,
yeah. True.
which is insane.
Yeah,
But I think Skaramis was in there as well. Like there's
right.
just a couple of champion, and it was like, okay, well, what do we do without an Ugo? it's kind of like there's nothing we can do because
Yeah,
they've
and
improved that a bit. Like,
it's because these
yeah,
champions, why they become so good is
mm,
because they're doing like two at least, but normally
yes,
three things.
yes,
And epics generally don't do three things. You know,
mhm,
Udo is probably one of the exceptions that's doing
yeah, really
three
good.
pretty strong things, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they kind of batted that away, didn't they? They were like, well, why would we bring in good epics when,
Yeah,
we've
I
got these
think they
other
should
fun
do more.
champs?
Again, because I think it's a problem for I think what Hydra is doing, I think, pretty well actually now at high level, where people like you and me been playing for ages. We've got loads of champions, and we can build these cool teams, and our damage is going up like crazy. I think it's probably not improved that much, honestly, for like you said, the 3 month player
Yeah,
who's sitting there going, "Well, this content sucks. I can't even get my foot in because unless I pull 2 or 3 very specific epic champions or eventually get these really
a
strong
good legendary.
legendaries, like
Yeah,
I just don't have the tools to even tackle it. So I think that's something they should improve in the future.
yeah.
And because I think people are put off from getting these Hydra focused champions because they just go, this content sucks. It's not for me.
And it does
And it's
seem
sort
like
of a
they're
negative
trying
sentiment.
when they do these free legendaries, like
Yeah.
Adlin and Rathalos and everyone. Like they,
Yeah.
it does seem they're trying to bring champions in to hit some of this content, which is just hard. So
For
Adlin,
sure.
Sandev, obviously, and that's hard
Yeah.
content. And Rathalos is a bit of a jack of all trades, but was pretty damn strong in my Hydra team as a free to play at the time. And
Oh, yeah.
Artak before that, the Burns is probably your best entry into Hydra to get keys
Mhm.
done. So yeah, I think they're kind of like thinking about how do we give how do we give players champions that do help in those areas, but
Mm.
yeah, like you say, if there's not a few epics that back it up, then and
Yeah.
at least
They
doing
need some.
like two key things really, it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You need some more
it's not enough.
evergreen options for people to get, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I just moving on quickly to empowerment because
Yep.
this is something we spoke about at length. We said epic empowerment
Yeah.
was really well received, and Ash was kind of like a big champion for epic empowerment
Yeah,
before it
yeah,
came
yeah.
in, and
Mhm.
his question straight away was, guys, when's rare empowerment coming? Like, are we getting rare?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what was your thoughts to this?
Oh, man, I like it's a tricky one, isn't it? Like, for me, my main concern with rare empowerment is actually screwing over newer players that come in and go, "Oh, I should empower all of my rares," right? It's just that teaching thing for new players. Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
Because by the time you get epic dupes, you're going to be usually a good bit further into the game, or certainly legend. Like, I don't even have a single empowered. I'm close to empowering my first legendary, but I'm a ways off. So,
right.
like, that's not so bad. But for rares, you do get dupes pretty early as a new player. That would be my worry: is people empowering all their rares and then going, "Oh, well, I've screwed myself over."
Yeah,
To leveling up, ranking up a bunch of champions. That would be the main concern.
and
Um,
I think their answer to this was,
mm,
look, rares are meant to be your kind of like entry into the game,
yeah,
early level. It gets you through a lot of the early stuff, but over time, and I think they're kind of right as well, by the way. Over
yeah,
time, you start picking up epics, you stop investing in rares, and you start to build out epics which are just doing the job better. And
yes,
they basically said that there's only a couple of rares which really should be making it into more like end game teams.
yeah,
And again, I think
yeah.
that's fair. Like if I was to empower rares, I'm thinking like, other
There's
than
very
Coldheart,
few.
I don't know who I would. I
Yeah,
don't-
there's very few. I mean, I'd actually quite like to see it not with dupes, but maybe you just get like a little currency from Clan Boss, and you could use it to get a little gear chest, like the arena crest chest you get now, or you can use
Hmm,
it to empower some rares. So you'd be like, oh, Cold Heart, oh, well, empower her up. But then after that, I don't really care so much. Maybe if you're earlier in the game, you'd be like, oh, empower up my Kale, whatever. I think that could work fairly well as just a minimal system. I don't know if they'll bother though, is the
yeah.
question. I thought it was funny as well that they were saying, well, you don't use rares for any end game stuff, and that they actually tried rare rooms in Cursed City, and they were like, it just sucks. It's just terrible because rares aren't strong enough. So it becomes very much like stun set central, and it's
Yeah,
dreadful. So they just scrapped that entirely, which was great,
yeah.
fantastic. But to be fair, you do have that in the secret rooms and Doom Tower, and they are horrible. So
Yeah,
a
they're
bit of rare
hard. Yeah, they're
empowerment
really
there would be
like.
nice.
Often I just skip them because I'm just thinking, oh man,
Same. It's
yeah,
not worth the hassle, is it? So
yeah. And, well, on this same screen, I thought I'd bring this up because I it was brought up as a bit of a meme. I think
Harbinger.
it's become a meme at this point, like the token trader.
Oh, the token
Um,
trader, yes.
um, and they did say, like, yeah, maybe we might do something with this.
Yeah.
After 2 years of being in the game. So, I mean, it's now that there's epic empowerment as well,
Mm.
and obviously legendary empowerment. I just feel like this is such an, I don't know. It feels like it's an easy win that you could just get a much smaller amount of tokens for burning an epic or rare. Honestly, like could literally be one token for a rare. It could be, I don't know, 5 or 10 or something tokens for an epic, and then whatever it is right now for a legendary. And they just make this. I sound like I'm beating a like broken record here,
Yeah.
but they could just make this rotate, have some epics in here as well. Now that we want to empower some epics,
Mm-hmm.
is it not the easiest win in the world to just do that? Is there? Can you see a reason why you wouldn't do that if you ran this game?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it might be just it affects so few people. Like for me, I got the 500 free things. I've never looked at it again because I just don't buy
Yeah.
that many shards. So I just don't
But
have
if you
any
could like burn
Yeah.
all your rares that you get at your stage of the game now, and you literally
rares.
got
Yeah.
one token trader token a time, and these rotated, so you had some interesting stuff in here.
Yeah, I think it would be more interesting for sure. Yeah, if it was more, or you could even have them be for tournament rewards or whatever. Like, yeah, it'd be a
Yeah.
fun bonus to slowly work towards. So, yeah, I do think it is. Yeah, you're right. It is something they should bring in. Um, I figure at the moment it is kind of really whale territory to have enough champs to unbind. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why they're not bothered. But again, the whales are the people that fund the game, really. So I don't know. It is a weird one that it seems like an easy community win as well because
I would think so. And even like they said, we can't really see a reason to go to like higher level dungeons of stuff like Minnow and whatever.
that was
But
crazy. Yeah, hopefully
imagine
we
if
convince
you
them
just
about
kind of
that.
went from like 16 to 20, and then there's a
Yeah.
chance, as well as these scrolls, to get more scrolls, but also a very
Mhm.
small amount of tokens for the token
Yeah.
trader, provided they do a rework of it. It just seems.
Yeah. That's. I hope that's the big takeaway from them from this because Minotaur. That's probably the thing that's memed on by the most people. It's like
Yeah.
give us more Minotaur levels, and like they don't seem to mind too much, really.
Or at least like
They're not that
super raids,
interested.
like it just
I think
seems
it's an
so
easy win.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
think it's an easy win. It saves people a lot of time, and I think I think it's a no-brainer to put it in. It's the same as the potion keeps, right? I think they're so much better since they added the extra levels. I think Minotaur would be as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully we come back 6 months time and we're like, wow, they added more Minotaur levels because of us. And good job, team. We did it. That would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys, and there you go. It's outro time now. Also edited in after the fact. But yeah, it was a great discussion. I thought with the devs,
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah, Hades, any final thoughts you want to throw in here for part?
Well,
part
I
two?
just want to say, like, it's good to at least have these type of conversations, even if it's every 6 months. And yeah, I mean, I thought there's a lot of good stuff on the horizon. So it's a bit of a watch this space, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited. When's that What's Next in Raid video coming out? I want to know what's next.
Yeah.
But guys, listen, thanks for watching again. If you watch part 2 first because you are a rebel, go check out part 1. Link down below on Hades' channel. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.